Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Blind Boys Politics. And Chris, how are we feeling at the moment?
I'm feeling great.
That's good.
Um, you know,
uh,
we have a vice presidential debate to talk about. Um, a little
yeah,
late, but better late than
better late
never.
than never. There's some
That's what I always tell everyone.
Oh yeah, I mean, there were some technological issues kind of hampering us for a little bit, but yeah, I mean, better late than never. We're getting to you guys about the whole thing. We've got our opinions here, and especially since there is no presidential debate, it slides in perfectly.
We're here. We're doing it. Denise lobbied out of you. Let's talk about it. So, there is usually only one vice presidential debate. It's usually not the most important one, but given that the one prior to this was a train wreck and the one that was supposed to be this week's canceled, this one, all eyes is now on this one.
Yeah, in fairness, like Chris said, with the lack of a presidential debate and the fact that the first one was scarily bad and the so much like a circus that it barely even represented a debate, it just this vice presidential debate could very well turn out to be the deciding factor on who gets chosen for president. Which, I mean, to some might not be the best way to win, and probably shouldn't be that way, but it's where we are. It's what we're dealing with right now. It is what it is. Voila.
So the moderator for the debate was Susan Page. She is the Washington bureau chief of USA Today. She has over 47 years of experience in politics, and she has done over or followed more than 10 presidential campaigns. Now, the vice presidential debate. It works different than the other debates. There was 9 10-minute segments. And it's the regular 90 minutes long. All the debates start at 9 p.m.
So there were a bunch of different topics hit during this debate. The major ones included COVID, the vaccine, roles, economy, climate change, China, racial justice, and transference of power. So pretty much what you'd expect, especially after the first debate.
So we're just going to talk about some highlights of it, like the walk-away key points of it. First thing was it was counted Mike Pence interrupted Senator Harris. 10 times Senator Harris interrupted Vice President Mike Pence. 5 times. And Susan Page had to interrupt both of them at one point to remind them of the rules.
And, some people might ask, because some people don't watch the debate, some people might ask, why are you giving us the interruption numbers? Well,
let's revisit the first debate, where it was a train wreck and everyone interrupted everyone. So it was kind of more of a, let's see what the numbers are this time.
yeah, see what the final scores are.
So there was both of them had like big ticket like things that they both said that everyone kind of it stuck with them, and it was kind of like a key thing for the debate. It was Senator Harris's was simple, I'm speaking. Vice President Mike Pence's was you're entitled to your own opinions, but you're not entitled to your own facts.
Yep.
They both said that several times.
Oh yeah.
That was like the big.
That's where they're like
jabs at each other.
You know how superheroes have like I don't want to say a tagline, but like their own special phrase. Well, that ended up being those ended up being their phrases throughout the entire debate. And like Chris said, it got repeated over and over again.
There was several things talked about, but the big thing was COVID. Senator Harris said, the president and the vice presidents were informed about COVID-19 January 28th. They didn't do anything about it until March 13th. What would you have done? if you found out about January 28th, she brought up the toilet paper issue. And then Mike Pence, he was saying that, excuse me, Joe Biden's plan looks identical to our plan.
Right. Yeah, he basically called it plagiarism, um, which was kind of interesting to hear.
And then after the plagiarism, we talked about some taxes.
Of
We're
course.
talking about the president's taxes.
Yeah.
Senator Harris said the president only pays $750 in taxes. I thought they meant $750,000 in taxes. Nope, $750. Vice President responded, well, he pays tens of millions of dollars in property tax and payroll taxes.
Yeah, of course, this is something that was huge in the first debate too. There was actually a question in the first debate that directly related to Trump's tax returns, and it's been pretty heated and overarching topic across both debates so far, and will likely come up again. I'd say it's pretty likely to come up again in the third debate somewhere.
Yeah, the third and final, which is kind of weird to say, but that's
right.
what it is. And then things started to get heated around the climate change, and then after that, it wasn't like the first debate where it was heated, but tension started to rise, I guess you could say.
Yeah, including one point where there was
climate change.
A lot of, there was one point throughout at this point where it almost did start to sound like the first debate.
It didn't get on the same stage as it, nowhere near it.
No, but you started to have that like overlapping conversation type situation, and the moderator just trying to cut in.
Mm-hmm. And then one big thing that never got answered was, did either the vice president or Senator Harris have a running mate with their age, things like that? Neither one of them chose to answer that. Senator Harris didn't answer the question about packing the Supreme Court. She turned it around on a question, packing the court. There hasn't been one black person to serve on the Supreme Court. Another big thing was that President Mike Pence decided to give a history lesson with Abe Lincoln, and then she shot back with another history lesson with Abe Lincoln about Supreme Court nominations. So that was a little bit of a heated moment right there. And
going back to, just pausing for a second, going back to the questions not being answered, it was quite interesting to see both of them fail to answer the question about having a conversation with their respective candidates. And the whole thing was like, if surrounding their age, if they were to become ill, what would be the next course of action? Neither of them answered this, and it kind of makes you wonder and kind of assume that hasn't really been, that either hasn't been a main point to their campaign, or a priority. Either that, or for some reason they don't want to release what they came up with, which that wouldn't make too much sense. But
that's just speculation.
Of course.
Everyone probably has their own opinion on why they didn't, or they just thought it wasn't important. It could bring up many things. Now, that was pretty much like a recap of like the debate itself, but there was still one final question. Now, if my editor wouldn't mind playing this final question for us,
we'll play it right here.
I've written all the questions that I've asked tonight, but for the final question of the debate, I'd like to read a question that someone else wrote. The Utah Debate Commission asked students in the state to write essays about what they would like to ask you. And I want to close tonight's debate with the question posed by Brecklin Brown. She's an 8th grader at Springville Junior High in Springville, Utah. And here's what she wrote, quote, "When I watch the news, all I see is arguing between Democrats and Republicans. When I watch the news, all I see is citizen fighting against citizen. When I watch the news, all I see are two candidates from opposing parties trying to tear each other down. If our leaders can't get along, how are the citizens supposed to get along? And then she added, your examples could make all the difference to bring us together, end quote. So to each of you in turn, I'd like you to take 1 minute and respond to Brecklin. Vice President Pence, you have 1 minute.
Now, let me tell you this one, Nick. For that to come out of an 8th grader's mouth, for them to have that, thinking level right there, that was a packed question. That was a big, for the simplicity of that question, it was a big question.
I was sitting here at my desk, listening to the debate, getting all the questions written down, all that good stuff. And when I heard that question, and when I heard the fact that it came from an 8th grader, I just stopped. Just mouth open, just shocked. Because I know a lot of people our own age, yours and mine, Chris, that wouldn't be able to come up with a question like that at all.
I probably wouldn't have even thought of that to ask.
Definitely not in those words. The wording of the question was impressive.
And it was a very simple question. But the question had so much.
But it was deep.
Yeah, it had so much power to it that it was probably the best question that was asked during that entire debate.
Yeah, and there were some interesting responses on both sides. Pence's main focus to this question was essentially that, despite the fact that people do get into arguments, they do get into fights, humans as a species love a good debate, they love a good argument, and they may disagree on a lot of things, but that doesn't mean that we won't come together in the end and that we won't be united in the end, because at the end of the day, this country is a united country. And he also noted that, even on the news, not all news that comes out is negative, that there is positives. There are positive stories out there. That was basically what he had to say.
Senator Harris pretty much said the same exact thing, just in different wording. She said that, we're on opposite sides of the party. We're running against each other, but when the president was diagnosed with COVID-19, we still sent our best wishes to him. We might not have the same viewpoints, but at the end of the day, quote unquote, she didn't say there for each other, but that's what essentially she meant. I don't have exactly what she said in front of me. But they both gave, I think, really good answers for it.
Yeah.
There wasn't neither one of them ignored that question. They both, I think, gave really heartwarming answers to that. Because it would have been really easy for them to blow off that question and talk about something else. But I think they both found it important that they need to.
Well, and I think who it came from really sparked their desire to answer that question too. The fact that it came from an 8th grader, it came from part of, the next generation. I don't care who you are. If you're a political leader, you kind of in your mind think this is my chance to try and pass on the torch in a sense, or, give them a little info for later in life, because they both think they're, doing the right thing, and they both think that they're doing the best job they can. So you don't want to pass up that opportunity to give an answer to a question from, someone from that next generation.
Right, and especially with the magnitude, power of that question.
Absolutely.
They could have asked a really different question, but I think that was a good question that was asked.
That was my favorite question of the entire debate. No joke.
I think it was my favorite question out of the whole 2020 debates.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you.
Because it was a honest question, and they gave honest answers.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
But that is it for the 2020 vice presidential debate recap. Sorry that we are a little bit late, but better late than never.
We're here now anyway.
Now, I don't know when this is being released, so we'll see when we see.
Yep. See
Follow
you
us
soon,
in
guys.
our all social medias down in the show notes down below. See you later.
Yep. We got some entertainment over there. Come over, have some fun. We'll see you guys later.